Hello there, welcome. It's Linda Emslie bringing the Existential Cuppa to you all by my lonesome today because my lovely friend Marg is actually on mum duties. She's off at a presentation ceremony for her daughter. So it's just me, but don't despair. I've got something really exciting lined up. I am going to be talking to the lovely Adaire Palmer, and let me just read her bio to you before I bring her in and we start talking about what it was like for Adaire to move out of resistance and into flow, and how she knows these days what that feels like and what she does about it. So Adaire describes herself as a baby boomer living a laptop style on a houseboat in Queensland. Sounds awesome. She works primarily with influencers and one-to-one and does one-to-one coaching, and her superpowers are live broadcasting and chatbots. She has a collaborative TV channel that's broadcast over 50 channels of TV on demand via the Binge Network syndication program. And I also happen to know she's an Amazon Live influencer because she's interviewed me and some of my other co-authors on her channel, bless. As a passionate advocate for healthy and sustainable living, Adaire strives to see change in the world, and she's transformed from being a horrible warning to a good example. Just ask her kids. Here are some things that she challenges you to do in midlife, because she's done them herself, that scare the bejesus out of you. 1, leave your husband of 20 years. 2, move across the country. 3, be homeless for a year, and she's got in brackets there just for shits and giggles. 4, buy a houseboat so you'll never be homeless ever again. 5, I nearly said 6 there. 5, rise up from the terror of having to learn a boatload of new stuff to successfully live off the grid and have a life to which she is becoming accustomed. And 6, hope you inspire some other midlife women to ride the waves as well. Excellent advice. 7, get good at tech and self-learning so you can earn your keep without relying on anyone else. Love that tip. And number 8, have a fabulous time. She's got in brackets again, mostly, doing it again. So without further ado, let's bring the gorgeous Adaire in and let's get started. Hello. It's so good to see you.
Hi, Linda. So good to see you too. It has been a while. I know I've spoken to you from the other side of the picture, you and Margaret, and I've really, really enjoyed your existential cuppas. And
Thank
I think
you.
it's a brilliant concept. So
thank you so much.
Yeah. And it's a pleasure to be here. It really is.
Wonderful. So as you know, Marg and I have been talking about all things intuition and fear and truth and trust and all of these sort of things. And the common theme that runs through all of those topics is being in the flow. And so I know that you're someone who has discovered how to go with the flow and how your life has actually changed. Because like when we first crossed paths, you were living in Adelaide in what appeared from the outside to be a very stable long-term relationship. And the next time I connected with you, you're at Coochie-Mudlow Island. So, yeah. Do you want to share a little bit? You don't need to tell us the gory details of what happened, but more from the perspective of moving out of an area of resistance, what the resistance felt like and how it showed up. And how you actually move through that into a place where you're now obviously radiantly happy and in a place of flow and living the laptop lifestyle on a boat.
I know, right? Sometimes I have to pinch myself to see if it's true. Hey, Roz, good to see you. And Deb's here as well. The girls. Bring your friends, bring them all. Let's all have a chat. Let's have a party at the Existential Cuppa.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So in a nutshell, oops, hang on, I have gone. My camera's been unplugged.
Oh. Are you still with me there? Oh, we've lost her altogether. Okay, so I'll just fill in some space here. So we're talking about flow, living in flow with Adaire Palmer today. And we're just going with the flow now because for some reason her camera is disconnected, but I'm sure she'll be back on board, so to speak, as soon as she can, because Adaire is these days living on a lifeboat. Lifeboat. Oh my God. I'm glad she didn't hear that. Houseboat. So what Roz is saying, sorry about that, camera came unplugged. What did you do, Adaire? Okay, so living in flow is when you're actually in the flow, it feels really open, expansive and easy. You know, life just comes to you so easily. Roz is telling me that lifeboat was actually a good slip. I'm sure her life has been saved a few times already. Absolutely. Through her own efforts and, of course, the beautiful guides and divine angelic help that is available to all of us at any time, should we ask for it. I'm not sure what's going on with Adaire there. I'm hoping she'll be back on screen with us very, very soon, because she has a really interesting story to tell us about some of the challenges that she's faced, what those challenges feel like as they show up as resistance, and what resistance can actually look like when you're sitting in it. It's not always what you think it would be. And then what it's like to actually move through those blocks and that resistance and step into the openness of flow. And here she is. She's back. Let's bring Adaire back on board. Are you with us there?
Hello again. Yeah, I just thought I'd just pop out for a nap.
Okay. You're feeling recharged, re-energized?
I am having internet issues, but I'm not letting that stop me. I just jumped in on my mobile device, and I could hear you talking there. Yes, sometimes I need a life raft. So just before we get bumped off again, it's just being in flow is something that I think one of the things is that I can only speak for myself, didn't feel like I was worthy of being in flow. I thought that unless what life felt like it was full of angst and Roz, you can wait. I didn't. If it was like, it didn't feel like, unless I was all bunched up inside and feeling like I was in a hurry to get somewhere or do something, or there was something missing, then I didn't feel like, it needed a complete paradigm shift for that to happen. And the other thing is, when I'm in my almost 20-year relationship with my previous partner, that was something that wasn't satisfying at all to either of us. And I was hung up on the idea that this is my third relationship, my third marriage, and I wanted to make it work, because of the beliefs that I had was that I was already a failure because I had 2 divorces behind me. And so I just thought, well, I have to make this work. But funny thing is, it actually takes 2 people. I've got two. That's 2.
Yeah, that is a prerequisite in relationships, isn't it?
And I know, right? Took me a little while to figure that one out. But
I'm
but
curious
I wasn't doing my best, and we weren't bringing out the best in each other.
Yeah, I'm curious about something you said right at the beginning about not being worthy of flow. And I'm also curious about, this concept of flow. Was that something that you were actually consciously aware of at that point in your life? Or is this a concept that because it seems to be something that comes with spiritual awakening, this idea of flow and being able to move into flow and, actually co-creating rather than trying to control. So, was that something you were already open to at that point? And if so, that feeling of being unworthy of flow, can we explore that a little bit too? That's a really interesting concept, and I think it's a really important one.
Well, there's a couple of things that my mentor back then, when I started on the journey, and I thought I was fully awake then too, and I probably you know, like a marginally less asleep now than what I was back then, because I just know how little we do know as humans. We do know, but back I was following Bob Proctor, and I was soaking up every single word he said, you know. And he was saying to live differently, you have to do differently. And when you're brought up in that paradigm of certain set of beliefs and cultural beliefs and mores and values and how you are, and you know, I'd been educated to master's level in mainstream in the institution, and it wasn't really until I jumped out of that and I studied hypnotherapy and neuro-linguistic programming that I actually had a mind expansion. I thought I was pretty, you know, like, and I look back and I think, you knew nothing, girl. You knew what other people said you should know, not what was in here. And that was probably the biggest thing. So as part of that process, and Bob Proctor said the two things is, you've got one paradigm here, the way you see things. And I knew, you know, I was at the point where I knew that I wasn't here. Yep. And I knew that there was a here, but I didn't know how to get from here to here. And that was the most frustrating thing, because I'm going, like, I just want to wake up one day and be there. And then the other thing he said, which made me just take a breath and just let it unfold, which is part of going with the flow, was that he said, you can look at a rosebud and you can watch that rosebud and it will never, ever move. And then one day, without you even taking your eyes off it, you'll see a beautiful bloom, a rose bloom, and you will never see it move. He said, that's what it's like getting from one paradigm to the other.
Yeah.
And I went, that made so much sense. And so, but you know that you don't know. One day you wake up and you go, I see things differently. I mean, some people have, I think he said, what do they call it? The Satori experience, where they have like a near-death experience or something happens and they go like, and that just boom, it hits them. But that'd be, or they're born like that, you know, but that's a tiny, tiny percentage of the population. Most of the population, and definitely myself, had to go through a long, painful road of learning to be able to even see a light at the end of the tunnel. And it's still happening. It's happening daily.
Yeah, I mean, it often takes incredible pain, doesn't it? Yeah. Sorry, I talked over the top of you then, Adaire. What were you saying?
It's like a rocket. No, I was just going to say, it's like a rocket up your backside. If you have that pain, that level of pain where you can't stand it, because most of us are in this uncomfortable numbness area where we're not in the flow, but we've got this life. You know, we've had this conversation, you know, we're both in different worlds, and when we're different people, we had a corporate life with good income and security and everything all mapped out.
Yep.
And,
now,
according to someone else's plans. So I'm not sure if I answered your initial question. But
yeah, I think so. And just that feeling of
unworthiness. That's right. And it's not just the physical world either.
No, that's right. And I think
it's not just the physical world. And one of the things that that I think we also do is that we look at what we want in terms of what we haven't got right now.
Absolutely. That's a really valid point. Yeah. So
I'm only getting every second word. Sorry.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm only getting every second word too. So there's something going on here. How's that going?
That's a bit better.
Just checking.
Will you do the old refresh trick?
Okay. Do you want me to? That just means me refresh.
I'll just refresh. Is that going to help?
Okay.
Yep. Do it.
Yep. Okay, just a quick refresh break. Maybe, yeah, it's like listening to an old CB radio conversation. Thanks, Roz. Perhaps while you're there, Roz, can you let me know if my sound is coming through okay? Hang on, Deb is saying, hearing both of you out here. Well, that's a good thing. And Adaire's back, so let's bring her in. All right.
Yeah, let's see if it's third time lucky.
Okay, yes.
So, yeah.
So far, so good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Can I circle back to that unworthiness feeling?
Yes, let's go back to the unworthiness, which was what I was just about to ask you.
So when back then, and particularly at the crux of, I'd done some spiritual development and emotional healing with some amazing healers, and I've worked with many different healers for different aspects of my journey, and they've all been like super, super amazing. And I feel like you and I are going to work together next month, which I'm really looking forward to. So, yeah. So the that feeling of being unworthy was seated in that paradigm. And as you move through that, and as that rosebud opens, and as you take in more learning, and as you heal more hurts, and as you learn to love yourself more, that feeling, it dissipates. And I can't ever say that I just woke up one morning and went, oh my God, I just love you. And it, you know, and I'd have to say, even back then, I couldn't even look in the mirror. One of the things, I went with the beautiful Mary McLeod. I did a weekend, self-love weekend with Mary, November last year, I think it was, and pretty amazing. But and one of those, you know, tasks is you look in the mirror and you say, I love you. And you look at yourself and you tell yourself, I love you. I love everything about you. And that to me was, and when I first started, was I just couldn't even do it. I couldn't even look at myself. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of those, and it's not I think it's more about how you feel, like in that paradigm and in that belief system that you're seated in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I found it incredibly easy. And now I'm finding that I'm just, you know, I still look at it, oh my God, look at those wrinkles. Oh my God, look at that. And then I'm going, like, I thought I'd move past that, seriously. But tell me, Linda, does that ever really happen?
Move past that? I think you get to a point of acceptance, a place of acceptance. You know, you are who you are. And when you sit back and look at all the things that you've done, you know, there's something to be celebrated, because there's so many different things in your life that you've done that have got you to this point. You know, your journey, it's not necessarily marked in your skin, but, you know, it just shows that you're a woman who has had life experience, has moved through the world, and is still very proud to hold her head up and say, here I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to explore a little bit more about your transition from Adelaide onto a houseboat anchored off the shore along southeast Queensland. You know, that's, you know, was it just like one day you decided, that's it, I'm packing the car up and I'm driving north? Or, you know, what's the story there?
No, it was really nothing quite so dramatic. It was like my daughter was here. She came from Adelaide, and that was in the process of the relationship breaking down. I'd have to say the best relationship breakdown ever. Like, we had a completely conscious uncoupling. It was done respectfully, and it was done with love. And, you know, there was no animosity or no angst. It was very supportive on both sides. So that was, you know, that was, if you're going to have a divorce, have a good. So I got you back. I just went blank there for a moment. So when that was in the process of happening, I see Linda's gone. All right, well, I'll keep talking. Or maybe I've gone. I don't know.
Are
you there, Linda? Or is it me?
I'm here.
I don't know. Hello.
Let's just.
I just keep seeing the screens go blank. I'm going. These things are sent to try us. So if you can hear me, I just say that. So I actually found myself homeless for some time, and it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was a little bit disconcerting. I just thought that. So I spent time at my daughter's in Mount Barker. I spent time at my mum's, and I was helping her look after my stepdad. He'd had a fall, and there goes Linda. I'm just assuming it's me, so I'll keep talking. And so when we ended up when I ended up on Coochie, and I just love it here. It's one of those things that you come here and you either, there's just got a place. It's a healing place. And I had, some amazing friends, Mary and Sue Shaw, and different people, Lorraine. What's happening here? They helped me on my journey, and when I landed here, it was like, oh, I live with my daughter, which was great. And then she popped out a couple of kids, and then it was like, oh, this is noisy. No, I shouldn't say that. I love them to bits, but I was at a beautiful area downstairs, and I had my own studio, like an apartment with the laundry was sort of quasi kitchen, and I had my own shower and toilet, which was great because I had my own space. And then they moved to a house had more bedrooms but less space for me, and we had shared facilities for kitchen and bathroom. And I just went, this is not going to work. So that was around about October last year that they just started making, because upstairs for them was just it wasn't tenable for all the 5 people in a 2-bedroom house, 3 kids and 2 adults. Roz is saying I'd run for the noise. I'll have my own space. Yes. And so I started looking around, and I'd have to say at the time when I'd asked Wayne a couple of years earlier if we could sell the house so I could have some money to do something with, and he said he wasn't ready, and I was a bit cranky.
Oh, here goes the sound again.
Are we here? And so, but how that means going with the flow, and it's accepting what's happening, because it took the 2 of us to work together. And if I had insisted that he'd sold the house before he was ready, we probably would have got, and I would have to say around 80. Oh, I'll refresh. Hang on. Oh dear, I'm still refreshing.
Are you? We can hear you now. Oh, that she's gone. Absolutely. I have had a bit of a circus with my technology this morning too. So I wonder what's going on out there. It's interesting, isn't it? So Adaire is back. Let's bring her in. Looking quite refreshed.
There we go. Yeah. Cheers. I mean, it's a berry kombucha, homemade on the boat.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So the upshot of being homeless and then living with my daughter for a year, and I don't think I'm the only woman in her 50s that have been in that position as well. But said the situation, the universe is solar flares from the sun. Yes, Debbie.
Could be.
So I think that there was a series of events that conspired to put extra money in my pocket, and when they were ready to sell the house, we got about 80,000 more for it than what I ever thought we would. So which is a lot.
I love what you said about,
and so once that was all done, I just went, well, I don't want a mortgage. I don't want rent. Yeah.
I was going to say, I love what you said about right at the beginning there. You were talking about
wanting away. I'm listening now.
Okay, that's okay. Wanting to sell your house because you needed money, but your husband or your ex-partner wasn't quite ready to sell at that point, and you had to find a place of acceptance. And having found that place of acceptance, you actually found down the track you were in a better spot.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the thing about being in flow, isn't it? About if you try to push for a particular outcome to suit your expectations for what your reality needs to be right now, you block off the opportunity for what the universe is saying, but I've got this coming for you. Don't be so impatient.
No. That's so true. That is so true, because it's one of those things where it lined up so beautifully that you just can't plan this stuff.
No,
We
exactly.
could not have ever planned. We could not have ever planned a pandemic that's going to cause prices to rise exponentially, and that and there's a whole heap of different factors. You couldn't have planned for my daughter to have another kid and outgrow their house, and I probably could have sat up there quite happily in the studio at the back of the island because it was quite nice. Thank you very much. But it wasn't practical for them. So, yeah. So just being in flow and accepting. And the other thing with that is when I started to think about, oh my God, I'm homeless, I could feel the energy going. I could feel that I wasn't in flow. And I started a couple of times to have a pity party. And then I went, well, how's that going to help anybody? It's not going to help me, be happy. I'm in paradise. Why would I? It just.
So I'm intrigued.
And again,
I was just going to say, I'm intrigued. When you get into that state, that place of feeling very sorry for myself, what does it take to actually stop and recognize that, and then go, okay, so I don't actually really want to do that?
It takes monitoring your energy.
Yeah.
And you know when you're in flow, because things just come in, things just work, things just happen, and it just all rolls out. And even if it's not,
how do you stop this tailspin? Because you get into a real tailspin, don't you? And you drag yourself down. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you did?
Well, it happened to me over the weekend.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it happened to me
this
just over the weekend, and I was saying earlier before we came on screen that I was. Well, we got hit by a freak storm, a 1 in 100-year storm, and I certainly hope it's another 100 years before we see anything like that again. Because we had waves just crashing over the top of the boat, and it's a pretty big freaking boat, and it was really, it would have been terrifying, but I had nothing to compare it to, and I'm just and I'm going, well, this is the biggest waves we've had. And then when it sort of settled a little bit, and Nigel was with me, thank God. And he looked out the back and he went, those trees look really close. And then he looked down and he goes, oh, there's the beach.
Oh, no.
I thought we'd broken the mooring, but what we'd done is we dragged the wind was so strong it just dragged the whole boat with all the mooring to the beach.
Wow.
Which is, there's a whole range of things that could have gone wrong that didn't go wrong. But the fact that, that we were still attached to the mooring. I hope I see it in 100 years. I'd be a bit doddery. I will all have artificial hearing and eyes, whatever. We'll be little robots. I'm not even joking about that. But I'm going. I kept my cool. And made some phone calls. Ended up calling the Coast Guard because I thought. The other part of that story is we're in the process of getting an electric winch fitted to the front of the boat because I can't manage the old winch that was there.
Oh, goodness. We were just getting to the juicy bit. So we'll just wait for Adaire. Hopefully she can make it back on. That would be beautiful if she can. And I'm getting this is an interesting comment, Roz. Not sure what you mean by that one, but looks interesting. So some of the things that Adaire was just mentioning then, I think are really, really potent ways of helping yourself move beyond your comfort zone. You know, the ability to recognize what it is you're feeling and to be willing and open and able to make decisions that allow you to move into a different direction. Oh, we've lost her again. So, you know, some of the things that can help you attain this level of awareness are things like mindfulness, as simple as having a mindfulness practice and then bringing that off the mat. She's back. How are you going?
Oh, dear.
Life on a houseboat.
This is the universe going, how bad do you want this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we did last week, and I've talked to Telstra in caps twice already.
Oh, you yelled at Telstra.
I talked in caps. So
fair enough.
So
you were telling us about
sorry,
your whole mooring had actually been dragged along with the boat over to the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, and we thought that there was actually both the mooring, but because of the work we did, it's oh my God, hang on. Go away. Oh, sorry about this. I should use my other computer. Are we there? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Okay. So the so the boat, the houseboat, Adaire to Dream, was sitting on the beach, and we thought we'd broken the mooring, but then we realised, Crystal's partner Jasper, he's the new Spider-Man. He really is. He's my superhero. So he came out and he came to help us because he's got a tinny. He's had a little bit of boating experience, probably a little bit more than us, but he's really quite confident around, you know, like he's good. He's really good. And so he came and he was helping us with the sand anchor because I didn't have the big anchor. So I thought, what's going to happen? Because thankfully there was no damage to the boat. There was no damage, or there was minor bits and pieces, but nothing that was setting in water or doing anything, you know.
Yeah.
So we just thought, well, okay, when the tide comes in, we're just going to float, and then we'll end up where? Because I have no anchor, and we've got a sand anchor, but that wasn't attached. So there's some lessons there about, you know, I'm feeling a bit like a sitting duck, and it was things that I thought were done weren't done. So there's a couple of things there, and that's I need to take responsibility for everything that happens on my boat. Not leave it to anybody else, and always, you know, and make sure for myself that the thing's done properly, because we've had, you know, we've had tradies and
oh dear. There must be a bit of storm activity around in Adaire's location at the moment as well. There certainly is up here. We've got a storm brewing this afternoon. And the best lessons are learnt through experience. They are, Roz, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, here she is, lovely. She's back. I got you.
Who's got me? Who's got you? Hang on. I've just figured out what it is.
Awesome. We can tell you're on a boat, Adaire, because the dream catcher just behind you is rocking. Okay, we can't hear you at the moment. There she is. And now we need your sound, lovely. You're muted. Is that something I can do? No. Your sound's muted, Adaire.
I think.
There we are.
I've just unmuted it.
There you are. Yes, I can hear you.
You hear me?
Yep.
Hello.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. I think I'm having a okay. Maintenance. It's all about maintenance.
Yeah. So what I'm interested, there are two things. You were talking about your experience with becoming unmoored, and it's just making me think about your initial decision.
So where was I? I was on the beach and didn't panic. But what happened was, no. So
I can hear you now. Yep.
Not sure what's happening.
So I think I was just talking a little bit about mindfulness before as a way to enhance your ability to stop and notice and look at what's actually happening for you and what you're experiencing in the moment. And it does take a little bit of practice. Here we go. We've got Adaire coming back. Let's see how we go. Hello. Are you staying this time? I have my fingers crossed for you.
Can someone tell Telstra that I intend to stay this time and have a proper conversation?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah, Roz.
So
thanks, Roz. The
we have
girl, she's there.
Yeah. So I do have a question for you, Adaire. It relates to what's happened recently for you, but also harking back to your initial decision to choose a lifestyle on a houseboat for someone who is not a boatie. How did you feel when you actually made that decision? What was it like for you to decide that? Uh-oh. Did you catch the question?
I don't think I did.
Okay, so the question is...
I wasn't, some people...
Yes, the sound is definitely cutting in.
How did I end up here? Can Adaire hear Linda? Every second word. I'm wondering if I jump in on my phone, will that hurt? Yeah, it's a bit, it must be. If it's frustrating for us, it must be frustrating for people watching. So, Roz and others, thank you for hanging in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I so appreciate you sticking in there with us because it's such a good story.
What else we can do about it? It's possible. I think it's the internet. I'm just seeing if I can make the camera resolution lower. Let's see if that works. That might be a bit better. All right. Let the angels transport the energies fully each way. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see if that works. I'm down to 360 now. So.
Yep, I can hear you. Your image quality is not pixelated, so that's nice. So, yeah, that might be our absolute last resort, will be continuing the conversation in audio only from Adaire. But
we can do that. We can have a podcast.
This bit is working, so let's go with that for the moment. So my question, Adaire, is about what it felt like for you to actually make the initial decision to move into a houseboat. Why did you choose to purchase a houseboat as opposed to a house? when you were homeless. What was that like? What did you experience in making that decision?
I was looking to downsize anyway. Like, I didn't want to have a house. I didn't want a mortgage. I didn't want to pay rent. And I had enough money to buy either, and I was thinking originally of an RV. And I wanted something that would give me, that was, tiny houses I looked at as well, but then you still got to have the land. And, that was sort of my main thing was to say I was blessed to have enough money that I could buy something and purchase it outright. And then that's mine. And I don't have to worry about where I'm living or what else, So an RV was the first option. I didn't really even consider a houseboat until my daughter started making, we have to move out of these where we are noises house. And then I went, and there was, by that time I'd met a few people who were living on boats, and there was a girl who was actually on this mooring that I'm on now, who was living in a catamaran, and I was quite inspired by her, a young girl. And I just was, I'd see her coming across and, going back and forward to the beach. And I thought, I wonder what it'd be like to live on a boat, because it's like a romantic notion that, sort of, I think everybody has at some point or another to do something different to what they're currently doing. And so I went, oh, okay, well, an RV, a houseboat, I'll just have a look at both. And so I'd been looking at RVs in Adelaide before I moved up here. And so I just went, okay, so that wasn't off the menu. And then I started expanding that consideration to looking at houseboats. And I saw some really cool ones. So just having a look online and then making some appointments to go and have a look at some in real life. And that was in about December last year that we just started looking. And we saw maybe 3 or 4 boats, 3, I think, and then came back to this one. And it bought me. I didn't have a say in it. It was it was one of those things where you just know. And I think, that's the same thing when I bought the house in Tea Tree Gully. It was like, that's the place, that's it. And you just know. And it was and it's been one of the most incredibly challenging and rewarding experiences too, because so what's Roz saying? Very romantic with the rock and roll in a storm, and knowing that can catch you out. That knowing can catch you out.
Yeah. So I recall,
and I think one of the reasons, because I want to, go on.
So I was just saying, I recall seeing you doing a live a while back before you actually moved in, and you were expressing your reservations and, feeling like a little bit fearful about actually making the move onto the boat. So can you talk a little bit about that and what it's like now for you that you're actually on the boat?
Well, it was like, it's also, I knew there'd be a learning curve ahead of me, but I didn't know how steep, and I'm glad I didn't. And the thing that comes to mind all the time, and I say it to myself daily, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better.
That's I
don't know who said that, but it just comes up again and again and again. And it's like, when it gets too hard, it's like, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And one of the things that the lessons I think I'm meant to learn here for my own evolvement is, and the word maintenance comes up, and it's so true whether you're in a house or with your car or your body or your relationship or anything anything. You've got to, once you've got it to a point, it's maintaining it. Even if it's not at the point where you want it to be, it's maintaining it. So any form of neglect is not acceptable.
Yeah.
In any way, shape or form. And that's been one of the things that I've noticed has been a pattern. And I think this has been sent to test me again to say, well, you've got, here's, the universe has given me this gift, and it's my job to maintain it and and improve it.
Okay.
And
I
think
love
that's
that point of view.
Yeah, because it's, I'm getting all teary because it's so on a existential level that's it's sometimes I just go, I can't swear, they'll bleep me out, oh bugger it. And it's all too hard, but then then you have days like, I'm just looking out here and I go, wow, it's not, it's and I'm here for a reason. So even though, like I said, I don't think it was even a conscious choice to be here. And it's not like, the vision boards and all that. Oh yes, I've been wanting a boat all my life. I got my boat license in the 80s after a misspent summer on a yacht with an old boyfriend that I had unfinished business with. Can I say that out loud?
Of course you're in.
I'd never driven a boat. I've never driven a boat. The next minute, I've got this to do. Yeah. So
your
is,
decision.
Yeah, Roz. Yeah, I said it out loud.
Yeah, we all heard it. But that's okay. You're in the Existential Cuppa little bubble of safety. It's all good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So it sounds like, once you've made that initial decision, it really began to be more about, it wasn't just a surface, I need somewhere to live, utilitarian type decision for you. It actually became oh my God, I'm actually meant to do this. And there are all these lessons that I'm learning about how to do this. And it's not just about how to live on a houseboat and take care of it. It's that soul responsibility or the soul level lessons in those areas that this is really bringing home for you. I just love that. And this all ties into that feeling of flow, doesn't it? About when you're actually listening to what the soul is saying it needs, life becomes so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how has it been for you since you moved in?
Yeah.
And settled in?
And even the tough bits, you can. I missed that last bit.
We've got a time lag. I was just asking how it's been for you since you've moved in and really claimed it as your space.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's three aspects that we've been working on. And I say we because Nigel's been by my side, even though I'm here 80% of the time by myself. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy having him here. He's a darling and I love him to bits. And I really enjoy my own space as well. So it just works perfectly. That there's three aspects that of the boat, and the first bit is there's safety, functionality, and pretty. So it's got to be safe, it's got to be functional, it's got to be pretty. And and I am still working on some of the safety aspects. We did some serious patching up and fixing up of bilge pumps and getting the holes, stopping the leaks. That was back in May. Had her on dry dock for a week, and got some serious stuff. Rebuilt the back end, and then put in a new solar system. And there's all of the practical stuff that was more functional. And now we're up to sort of doing the anchor, which is part of the safety aspect, but it's also now it's getting to the pretty stage, which I'm really going to enjoy. At the moment, it's, you know, we just look around and I've got, you know, it's not painted and I've got no blinds, and it's like when you're in the middle of renos type thing, you know, and I'm going, I want it pretty and I want it pretty now, but there's no point, you know, painting it while it's sinking. So we had to get
priorities, I guess.
Right. But
rats.
But there is, she's sort of taken on a bit of a life of her own, and she's more solid than you know. After being in that storm on the weekend, it shook me a lot more than what I'd like to acknowledge. Yeah,
I love that segue, because I was actually about to ask you about, you know, and so you're still learning your lessons, and what is it, you know, this storm, what's that brought to the surface for you?
That's interesting. It's still very fresh and very raw. And on Wednesday, I was here by myself, and there was a couple of waves that came up and smacked up across the bow of the boat, and I saw it and I went, I've got to get out of here. And then, so the interesting thing about that was, I reached out because I realized that I was taking on all this fear, and it was stopping my enjoyment of life. And a good feeling when you know you're able to survive the storms. I'm living inside a metaphor, like I'm the metaphor. It's not. So, and I suggested to have a session with Matthew Greenwood, who's an amazing gifted healer. And so I missed that.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, so it was okay. So I had this. I had a session with Matthew yesterday, and the whole focus of that was looking at where the fear came from. Because I got off the boat, and then I went, I'm running away. Why am I running away? Why am I so fearful? And why is it? You know, I just don't want to live like that. And that's when you know you're not in flow.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just crowds in on you, and you just, you know, and you said, where are you feeling it? And I'm going, it's in my solar plexus. You know, I feel like my stomach's churning and I feel like I want to throw up. And interestingly enough, I didn't feel it in the chest tightening or anything. It was right in the stomach, really in the stomach. And so, but we went through a process, and I realized that probably a good 80 to 85%, if not more, of that fear was not mine.
Interesting.
So that event, it was very interesting. And this is where, you know, the conversations are totally appropriate for your Existential Cuppa, because that event that happened on Saturday night was actually, no one got hurt. There was things that could have been done that, like, left undone or not done properly, that were done. Like the hatches were closed, and I said, let's close the hatches, because if we didn't, the boat would have filled with water. And there was just different things that I'm going, oh my God. So thank God that was, you know, when you think about it afterwards, you know, we just only that day had the water tanks put in with brackets. Otherwise they would have been like a torpedo straight through the hole. And the tinny was out the back. Otherwise that would have smashed against the side of it. You know, like there's so many things that could have gone wrong that didn't.
Yeah.
And here's me freaking out when a little wave comes over the bow of the boat, and I'm just going, what is it? What's happening? But I think it was all the external, like the world's living in fear now. Mm-hmm. And as an empath, I'm hooking into that, and I was vulnerable because of that situation. I could tell that what started off was, I think, was a bit of aftershock. You know, I'm not a physician or anything, but I think I can, you know, look, I can read my body and go, okay, well, I'm in a bit of shock. I'm feeling like I'm in shock, shell shock. I'm safe. We're safe now. That feeling of not being safe. And then I'm going, that got worse, progressively worse, until yesterday. And I wanted to cry all the time. And so when I talked to Matthew and we went through that process, and once I realized that fear was, it's, I mean, I have a concern for the way the world's going, and I have a concern for, how my grandkids are going to grow up, and I would prefer that they grow up in a world of good democracy and tolerance and peace, and what we all strive for. And that was weighing on me as well, but it was almost like that event let that in. I sort of had my bubble, and then the bubble burst and it all came crowding in.
Okay.
So so doing the grounding and and recentering and recognizing, and we sent the back. I sent back the fear. I said, I'm not carrying your fear, so I sent it back with love, and then I was able to identify, through that work that another spirit guide that I know is here to help me, and I'm the sense of humor, which is really cool. So this is really existential.
Yeah,
it's working, and it's working for me. And now I'm getting back in the flow. So as recently as this last week. So what may have happened in the past is I would have hooked into that spiral of fear, and it would have just kept going and going and going. But seeking help early I think is critical, and stuff like that. Sometimes you can't, we might have all the best practices of meditation and grounding and just sitting in nature and doing what we can to help us heal. But sometimes it takes a bit more help with another healer, and it's and I would always suggest, I know I've got an amazing community of healers, and they'll do little healing swaps, and they'll help each other, and spirit guide with a sense of humor. Yes. So it's always important to recognize that at that point, and reach out sooner rather than later.
And the good thing is, the more that you feel able to reach out for help, the earlier you start to notice things, the more quickly you reach for help, the easier it gets. It's like I know from conversations that we've had years ago that you and I both wallowed in a world of suffering, trying to make a position that wasn't in any way at all designed for us work for us. And I'm talking about our corporate existence. And that was a really soul destroying, deflating, horrible place to be. And it took a lot of effort to actually, for both of us, to shift out of those spaces and make the move into something that was much more aligned with what we're actually meant to be here for. And happier, healthier, easier sort of thing. To, at this point when we're reconnecting and we've both had lots of practice and lots of experience at that, it gets easier and easier and easier, and you don't actually wallow. You go, oh, I don't like this and I need some help. I'm going to get some help. Yeah.
That's the other paradigm. That's the paradigm from whence we came.
Exactly.
And then we go, I don't want to go back there.
Yeah,
we're moving towards. And I think this sort of thing is going, all right, so this is the next level in your evolvement, whatever that looks like. And so it's just time to embrace it. And so part of me just goes, oh, not again. Can't it just be easy? But then I go, we're better. You don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better.
Yep. And I think that's a really beautiful sentiment to leave everybody with this afternoon. And Ros is saying she's not been there herself.
Or corporate.
Oh, only ever worked in her own business. Just think yourself lucky, Ros. So I'd love to thank you so much for your company today, Adaire, and for sharing so willingly about your experience and what it's like for you to be in resistance and to be in flow, and some of the adventures that you're happening that are reminding you how to stay in flow. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here. I just so love. Well, let's try it again sometime when I get the internet sorted out. Might have to go and yell at some Telstra guys again. I mean, talking caps, rather.
Yeah, talking caps.
Thanks so much. Thanks for being here, Roz, and everybody else who swung by. It's really cool to have that conversation and have that.
I was just going to say, Roz, thank you so much for being present and for sticking with us through all the tech difficulties, and to all those people who've stuck around and watched, thank you so much. If you're watching the replay, do stick through it. I know the tech things are a little bit frustrating, but Adaire's story is so interesting, and there's some really juicy things for you to take away there. So thanks again, Adaire. It's been an absolute pleasure to reconnect with you and to have you as a guest at my place.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Linda.
And we'll do it again soon. Thank you, Roz. Bye now.
Bye.